Hi, I'm Brian Franco, founder and managing partner of Meritage Partners. For the last 20 years, I've been involved with public companies, private equity, venture capital, family offices, and angel investors to provide you, your business, and your company with the tools needed to successfully navigate the future. Welcome to M&A Update. Welcome, this is Brian Franco, founder and managing partner of Meritage Partners. Thank you for joining us on another episode of M&A Update. I'm sitting here with a client of ours that we've met a couple years ago, went on a journey together in exploring the opportunities of selling his company. Sid Mousavi is with me. Sid, thank you for being here.
Of course.
And, Sid, you and I were actually, we were referred to one another by a close friend of yours.
Mutual friend, yes.
Yes, in fact, we actually met today, and he was.
Oh, you did? Okay.
We met for lunch today.
Oh, fantastic.
And he was very happy, and he congratulated me, and I congratulated him, and he, you know what he said to me? He says, "You know what, Brian, you are sincerely happy for Sid. And this is why I referred you to him."
Oh, okay.
And he says, "I could see it. Like you own this transaction, and it's in the process, right?" And you and I, we met during the pandemic, actually.
Right before just the beginning of it.
Right in the beginning of it, right? And I think
we didn't think it was serious.
No. In fact, I think. My wife I was meeting with you, and she's like, "You need to get home, go to the grocery store." No, but all that to say, when we did meet, it was a very different environment. In fact, we weren't sure where the A&E community was going to be headed, right? Architects and engineers. And so we came together, we met, and we put together this go-to-market strategy. And the idea was always to align your business with the strategic acquirer. So, share a little bit about, when did you start the firm? What year was that?
Well, my background is in municipal government. In fact, I started in municipal government and worked my way up to like city manager. And then after that, it was like, okay, what do I do after this? And I always had the idea of doing something in the private side. So went on to the private side afterwards, and first started dealing with the cities because of, again, my background in city government. And started with a small group of friends and colleagues, and then gradually enlarged the operation. And moved from one office to another to bigger offices, and that's where we are now.
Yeah. And at the head count, I think at the closing table was a little over 100, right?
We're about 100, yes.
Yeah, which is
it fluctuated in time. Sometimes we were about 110, sometimes 90. Depending on the time. Yeah,
and it's interesting to see how now where we sit here today in 2023, to look back at what we went through together, it's a testament to your commitment and our commitment to this process. Because as you learn and as we go through in every one of these deals, it's it really, I call it a head transplant, right? So, where the business is the body, and you have everyone in place and everyone has a function and a role, but you as the head figure, controlling and leading and managing and influencing and inspiring the body to move, right? And then you go into these transactions where you merge your company, and again, congratulations on this merger with Bowman Engineering, which
it wouldn't have happened without your help.
Well, thank you, Sid. And it wouldn't have happened if you didn't, years ago, leave the private sector, right, public sector, to come work to the private sector.
That is true.
It's amazing to see, our firms collide at this moment in time, and the work that we did together. And there was a lot of we talked about the pandemic and the challenges that presented, but we still persevered. We still pushed through the transaction.
One of the interesting things that I learned through the process that I have found a friend.
Thank you, Sid.
Seriously. seriously, because it's transaction is one thing,
Yeah.
but going through the process and getting to know the person is a lot more important.
Yes.
And I think the reason why we went through the pandemics and survived that and came along, continued on until we made it happen, is because of, again, your patience, your perseverance, and your interest in the process, but also in the manner that you came along and worked with me to make it happen. Anytime I called, you were there. So that made a big difference. Otherwise, halfway through the process, we would have gone different ways.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, and this is always the bittersweet part, right? Like we talk so much, and we announced the deal this morning, right? It was announced to the public markets, and which is exciting. But I was sharing with you earlier, it's a bit bittersweet because, we're going to get through this integration, but in a month or so, we got to find a reason to call each other and hang out, maybe have lunch or
do
something.
No, this is not
fun.
the end of it.
No,
trust
sir.
me.
No, sir. So, and you are going to remain with the organization. And Bowman has been very excited to have you and your experience and have the ability to expand into your disciplines, into the geography that Infrastructure Engineers services. And the exciting part, even for the staff, when you think about this, and they're going to have even greater opportunity to expand. If they wanted to relocate, they could relocate. But more importantly, they have that security. And you, one thing I want to say about you is that when you came to us, you didn't just want to sell to anyone for any amount. You wanted specifically to sell to somebody that was culturally aligned, that was going to continue the legacy that you built. And you're very clear with me that, in this dealing, like, we had to make sure everyone was taken care of.
Exactly.
And we worked, especially this weekend, we worked very hard on that, as we were getting down to all of the agreements. And so that speaks, for me as an outsider, that speaks to your culture and the people that you've developed.
Well, there's loyalty on both sides. I have people in the organization that are very loyal, and they've been with me for a number of the years, almost like some of them are 20 years. And I needed to reciprocate it back to them in terms of loyalty. I didn't want them to be left out.
Correct. Correct.
And they'd be taken care.
Absolutely.
And I think we accomplished that.
We did accomplish that. We certainly did, and it wasn't difficult to accomplish that. It was just more the consideration and then aligning those considerations with each individual personality, which, at the end of the day, everyone looked to you because you have worked with these people, like you said, for as long as 20 years. And so what makes them tick, what makes them happy. And in our structure, and I don't want to say negotiations because Bowman was in favor of the same outcome. And that is, let's make sure everyone is happy. Let's make sure everyone is welcome, and why this was framed as. And
that's why we were aligned. We were aligned when we started talking.
Exactly, and I even saw you, walk away from some deals that just were not a fit, in terms of culture, right? And so that really speaks to, again, who you are and your intentions to take care of your people.
Yeah,
and
that was very important.
Yeah. And we did it. we did it. So
we did. And then thank you for making that happen. And with ups and downs going on, and I kept on calling you 6 o'clock every day. in the afternoon.
I was your carpool buddy for a while. You got me on the way on the drive home.
On the way home, and catching up with things. And you always had the smile, and you always greeted with niceness. So it was a pleasure working with you. Let me say that.
It was, and I think that's what people forget is that yes, these are transactions, but it's not as simply as transacting. We're human beings.
Absolutely.
We wake up as human beings, we go to bed as human beings. And what we do at the time we're awake, it really speaks to kind of how we interact with each other.
And because of that, I would never hesitate. Anybody ask me about professional in this business,
Yeah.
you were the one I will recommend.
All right, good. I love it. Well, you have my number. You call our firm anytime. We're ready. No, and the reality is, I mean, we do a lot in the A&E space, with civil firms, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, structural. There's a lot of movement right now in environmental work as well, which we haven't really seen historically, actually. But now we're seeing more and more of that consolidation. But ultimately, the industry is headed in a direction where a lot of segmented businesses around the world, specifically here in North America, but are consolidating, and they're really becoming, those small and medium-sized companies are becoming medium and large-sized companies.
Right.
And the end result of that is, the services that are being offered and the level they're being offered are improving every day, right? So it's good for the industry in a way that provides security to the employees. And historically, you've been geographically focused here in Southern California,
Right.
but you have relationships with firms that service nationwide, or you have clients that are in different geographies that you can now tap into.
Right.
And that's the exciting part, right?
Well, yeah, I know all the firms, at least in Southern California. So
Yeah, exactly.
They do similar business as we do.
Yeah. And I think that you made this process not only enjoyable, but you really helped us to find the right solutions at the right times. And you're just a moment ago, you talked about the ups and downs, right? And so these ups and downs are really in and around, the process and the due diligence and the because the burden of proof is on our side,
Right.
So we're producing data to an acquiring party, and if there's anything that we would miss, and sometimes it felt like, oh gosh, we need to find answers here.
It's a tough process to go to.
Yeah, it is.
And you were very accommodating.
Yes.
And helping us to move the documents through.
Well,
So
we assembled a good team, right?
Yeah.
It was me, it was your internal folks. We had accountants and CPAs, and everyone contributed to that. And with that team effort, we were able to accomplish what at sometimes seemed impossible, we made possible. And to your point,
Jacob was very helpful.
No,
in the
Jacob,
process,
yes. Yeah,
he was behind, but he kept up with everything going on. Organized documents, so very helpful.
He works strong behind the scenes, and we don't let him out into the daylight. And then even some of the folks you haven't met, like Scott, did a lot of the financial analysis behind the scenes, and so it's like that team is there to really support what we did together, and your team was there as well. So it's exciting to look at this as a journey that you and I went on together, and at what seemed to be an impossible moment of time, we accomplished it, and we're here.
Yeah. It's amazing. You hear, or I heard, people. Organization merged or they acquired, and of course, you always hear after the fact, after it's done. You never think that how long it takes, what takes to make it happen. And it's a long process. It's very involved, and you really have to be very patient to go along. And there were times that I was kind of saying, wow, this is just too much.
It's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah.
So I really want to go beyond this.
No, you're right. And every deal is the same. We call it a transaction, but it's not transactional in the sense that it's this, the same. It's a similar process, but there's so many nuances that we have to navigate through. We did that together, and it worked out great.
People don't think about it, but there are a lot of details, especially towards the end, that need to be addressed. From insurances, all the PTOs,
PTO, employment topics,
employment offers or employment agreements.
We had long-term agreements that we
Yeah.
extended during this process, right? I mean, it was it's an undertaking, but with like to your point, with the right team, as we had put together and worked together, we made it happen. But now that we're here, we've announced the deal. We've been so tight-lipped about this, given that it was a public acquirer,
Yes.
and it made it difficult, but not impossible. And but now that you've talked to the employees, you talked to clients, what's important to you moving forward? And considering the fact that you will be and remain with the company for the foreseeable future, what are some of those initial things you want to do as part of in this integration with Bowman?
Well, integration is going to be very critical, and I want to make sure that that is happening properly, and give the feeling to all employees that there is something better for them in this new merger, and that will be from different perspective, from the resources side, and I've explained that to them. I did that yesterday with all groups and everybody there, is that we will have some additional resources that we didn't have. Some specialties, a variety of technical sites that previously didn't have them available, or we subbed them out. Now those will be available internally. And also in some areas, we will provide that expertise to other groups in the organization. So this synergy build is going to help us to excel even further. From employees' perspective, especially on the engineers or architects or planners, they see new professional development, getting into different types of projects and programs that they were not involved in before. In my experience, I've seen engineers, if they work on a similar type of project, they get tired of it. They want to try something new, something different. So hopefully this will provide more opportunities for them to do some different things in terms of whether it's design or it's construction, or any other improvements within the communities.
Yeah, we talk a lot about synergies, right, and amongst those acquirers in the marketplace, and we're always trying to find that equation where 1 + 1 equals something greater than 3.
Greater than 2, yeah.
Right? Yeah, and greater than 2 even, right? But because when you look at the disciplines of Bowman, when you look at the disciplines of your firm and the geography, some of it overlaps, but some of it doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't very much at all, because Bowman's presence in California is very, very limited. That's in San Diego, and the populous part of the state is really Orange County and LA, and of course dipped into a little bit of San Bernardino County, and that's where we have the influence. That's where we're doing the business. So Bowman joining forces with us is going to provide the opportunity for them directly be in touch with the clients that they've been existing with us for a number of years. We have clients that we've been doing business with them for the last 23 years, the same client every year in and out. So majority of our clients are long-term clients. We've barely here and there get new clients. We do, but very, very seldom. A lot of them are just long-term clients that we've been working, and we get the new one, it becomes a long-term in a few years. So that's how we've expanded, because we're taking care of the clients that we currently have.
Yeah, and that's the exciting part, right? And you think of, yes, the firm was merged, and yes, you're going to take this evolved role in the organization. But I always frame it as, and I may have told this to you at one time before, but you're never selling a company. You're typically selling the things that have consumed you, right? Which makes way for the opportunity for you to spend time on what you do best, and that is, you have a solid reputation. You have a wonderful network that you just described you could tap into and even reach further into those opportunities.
Right.
And if this merger didn't occur, you would get there, but it would take him more time. And so what I always like to frame this as is we're collapsing time with a merger like this for both organizations. And it really speaks to why these types of transactions are good for, not only the stakeholders, right, but also the employees involved, because everyone's looking for, to your point, not just job security, but they're looking for challenging and, having different types of projects. And
every one of my employees, they walk out today, they'll get a job someplace else the next day. So it's not that it's important, the job is, but it is important, but the challenges of the type of programs, projects they get involved, and how they feel within the organization and their belongings is what makes them stayed with me for all these years.
Yeah. No, that's when you say it that way, it makes a lot of sense, And so we've talked about a lot here, the process, how we started, more importantly, how we met, right? And then, evolving to the go-to-market strategy, going to market, selecting the right partner to merge with. We've done that together. We made it through the due diligence process. We've made it through the definitive agreements, and then the closing, right? And that was announced this morning, and it's exciting. It's absolutely exciting to see your name and your company name out there, and as Bowman announced it in their press release, and I was proud. I was proud of that because we had the opportunity to participate and be part of that with you. But as you said earlier, we're in the beginning. You're looking for an advisor. Our firm's looking for a client, but through this process, we found friends, as you said, and because we learn a lot about what the expectations are, and a lot of that, yes, it's business, yes, it's transactional, but a lot of it's personal as well.
Yeah, human touch.
Yeah, and if we fail to see and recognize those needs and expectations, those are we can't necessarily put those in the contract, right? But we know they exist, and we know that we need to make sure that the intangible expectations are vocalized.
But let me add one thing though.
Okay.
True, we met through mutual friend.
Yes.
But when we started talking, you brought a team together that otherwise I would have known, and the team was a very good and solid team, from attorneys, from CPAs. I asked you, recommended. I met them, and I found them to be very professional, very solid. And through your recommendation, we built a team that ultimately made this happen. The team was a very, very solid and good team. I appreciate that.
Yes, no, you're welcome. They're going to be happy to hear that. and I don't know if I shared this with you, but with that specific team, we have done, I'm trying to tally it up in my mind, but I would say almost $200 million of transactions in the architectural and engineering space together. Okay. So they know this industry, right? They understand the nuances around what's been done.
They know, but they were on top of the things.
Correct.
It's one thing is they knowing it, but the other thing is, it didn't matter if I emailed them at 11 o'clock at night. I had responses back in 15 minutes. And sometimes they actually surprised me by responding 5 o'clock in the morning while we had communication at 11 o'clock at night. So I said, or the weekends. Yeah. So the team was very solid, very good, very professional. I enjoy working with them. And thanks to you.
Yeah, no, of course, my pleasure. And what we found is that we all work, well, more specifically, we all sleep about 5.5 hours a day based on the last email and the first email. Yeah. And it's, but it takes that sort of commitment and dedication to make this happen. And we all did it. And I congratulate you and applaud you for getting to this stage. And I'm excited to stay in touch with you.
Yeah, of course.
We still have some work to do in integration, but, beyond that, I imagine you have other colleagues in the industry that are looking for a firm that can help them through this process and advise them and guide them. We enjoy this. And my grandfather once told me, he says, if you enjoy what you do, you'll never work a day in your life.
That's true.
And I sincerely love this life work
Yeah.
that we do.
Yeah.
It's really, it's fun to
Yeah.
me, and
it's
fun.
rewarding at the same time.
It's rewarding at the same time, you
Yeah.
know, and you get to see these things come to fruition. And so thank you for the opportunity. Truly, thank you. It's been a fun ride. It's been a fun journey. But I'm happy for you and your family, and your wife. She just retired last year,
Right.
and so hopefully you guys can spend some time together vacationing this summer and,
Yeah.
and into the new year. But
looking forward to that.
yeah,
Yes.
it's going to be good. Well, Sid, thank you again for being here with us.
You're
Thank you for
welcome.
taking the time out of
You're
your busy
welcome.
day
Of course.
in the middle of integration
Yeah.
and sitting here with us
Yeah.
and sharing your
Of course,
experience as well.
Of course, I wanted to do that. I'm happy that you asked me to do it, but it's a pleasure to do it because the team yourself and the team you selected was outstanding.
Fantastic. I'm glad to hear that. Looking forward to staying in touch. Yes, absolutely. And thank you for joining us on this episode of M&A Updates. I'm Brian Franco, founder and managing partner of Meritage Partners, joined again by Sid Mousavi of Infastructure Engineers, now Bowman. We encourage you to stay tuned for future updates. If you have any questions or would like to reach out to our firm, we encourage you to do that at any moment in time. We're here for you and to provide the same level of excellent service that you've heard here today with Sid. We appreciate you. Have a wonderful day.